So welcome to everybody on the Facebook. Come on in. You could type comments and I'll see them there. I am watching that, and it looks like our webcast is going as well. So we've got people joining us every which way today. With that, I am going to get us started. So looks like today the topic on deck is related to pitching and related to how you like what actually happens, right? The whole piece about what happens behind Shark Tank really been behind the scenes of those. So I thought I'd share some things. We were really fortunate last week. We got to talk a bit with some of the angel investors from Pasadena Angels. I actually had one on a large panel that we hosted, put together, and collaborated on. We had the senior vice president of technology for iRobot was there. We had one of the angel investors who's an accredited investor, who very involved with Pasadena Angels. We had someone who's worked with very large brands like Peter Pan Peanut Butter, etc. So all of that said, it became very obvious to me last Wednesday night that there's a lot of people who really don't understand what happens with Shark Tank and investor groups. So we're going to dive into that today. And it is directly related to the Creator Award grants. If you were watching your email and you're in the Western US or the Northeast US, I did send a announcement out that Creator Awards are accepting applications until tomorrow for that region. So it is the Western US and Northeast US at this time. And the Creator Awards are going to be giving out $20 million total globally. So it is a pretty awesome opportunity. If you're interested in that, you can see more information over on our blog at productstoprofits.com. So it is on our blog. I'll type that in for everybody who's watching the video. One sec. Okay. So you can put that up and talk about behind the scenes at Shark Tank. You know, Shark Tank is a really exciting event for people. It's, you know, there's people from all around the globe that try to be on Shark Tank or the European counterpart Dragon's Den. And, you know, everybody thinks that, hey, you got your deal, the sharks are interested, and it's done. Well, that is very, very, very far from the truth, okay? There is a whole process to it. So let's talk a little bit about how you even get selected, okay? I've been very fortunate. I've spoken on stage with several of the sharks, and I've gotten clients sent to us from them, and we have angel investor groups that we actively help evaluate pitches for, and so we're squarely in that mix and have been in the room when the debate about different deals is happening. So let's pull back the curtain a little bit for you, and here's what goes on. So first off, you have to understand that any investor group or the television show has metrics that they're looking to achieve, okay? And metrics are simply, it's a fancy term for numbers, and it's related to performance, okay? So with a TV show, they have a metric called viewers, right? To get an active number of viewers watching and tuning back in every week, or, you know, for the whole season, right? Because that's where they make their revenue, is from the advertising and the dollars. Plus, in terms of Shark Tank, there are some back office kind of deals that go on that are completely legit. They're part of the contracts. So one of their metrics is viewers. And the other thing for both the TV show and every investor group talks about something called deal flow, okay? So deal flow is the number of deals that they're getting coming to them, that are getting syndicated to them, and that are getting funded. And so they're always looking at what's our deal flow, okay? So air quotes around that, deal flow. Deal flow is a measure of how attractive that group is to different people that want investment money, right? Because they can't invest if they don't hear about the deals. So deal flow is really important. Now, to get deal flow is one step, but the next part is ROI on individual deals. And ROI stands for return on investment. It's the amount of money that the deal makes for them on the back end of it, okay? So return on investment, or ROI, is a really important metric. And then the last one, if you're working with a venture capital firm, is the ROI on the entire fund. Okay, so they want to know what the return on investment is going to be across all the investments they make that take up or make up part of this chunk of capital that they have that they invest. Now, most investor groups, TV shows, and venture capitalists know that not every deal is going to be a home run. You know, not everything is going to work out. So the deals that they do, they're actually looking, if they could have it all their way, they would get 10 times the money they invest in as an exit. Okay, so we can talk a little bit more about that if anybody has a question. So I will leave some time for questions. I'm going to run through a couple more points here, and then I'm going to open up the phone lines. So I really want to serve you and take care of you. So ask questions. This is your time to get some inside information and insight, okay? So with Shark Tank, the way this plays out is once you get the call that you made it through the auditions and you're going to be on the show and you go in for your filming, be prepared that your filming or taping is not going to be just that nice little snippet that you see on television as part of the audience. No, it can be up to about an hour, and you will be given a chance to present your pitch, talk between the different investors. You may or may not hear it, okay? So be prepared for that. So there is debate that happens between the sharks on the show that we do not see on TV, okay? And there's questions that get asked that we do not see on TV. Now, after you get a deal offer from one of the sharks, it's pretty frequent that the next couple of days, if they really like your deal or some of the other sharks really like your deal, they may actually contact you to have coffee or meet for lunch to talk through some of what goes on, okay? So you can have that happen. I actually have someone that we advised in January before the CES show, and he was just on a show recently, and I'm going to see if I can get him to come on and we'll have a conversation about this. But the sharks that invest in you are looking for return on investment, the same as an angel investor that is not coming to you from a TV show. Okay, the amounts that they invest may be different. The company valuation may be different. Valuation is a really hard thing to figure out, and it is something that you're going to have to kind of defend. Okay, so once you get the show to, the shark or an investor group to give you a deal, you have to go through what's called due diligence. So I will talk a little bit about that process. But first, let's look at the investor group side of things, because it is very related to Shark Tank. So investor groups, when you pitch to them, most of the time you're going to be in front of between 10 and 25 or 30 people in the room. They're all usually accredited investors, which means that they're pretty savvy. They tend to be older, so just know that. They're typically over 50 years old. And they tend to have done something well that they've to finish your pitch. The investors will usually ask you to leave the room. So you do your pitch, you answer some questions, they ask you to leave the room, And then they debate amongst themselves whether they believed your pitch. Do they think there are some numbers that should be different? Is the valuation wrong? And they'll go through and they'll be talking to each other, okay? So one thing that can really help you with an investor group is having a advocate or a champion that's inside the investor group that can be in the room that can say, well, you know, I talked to this person, they're really on top of things. And while I know they might be really young or, you know, yeah, they don't have much skin in the game, but look, they're fully committed. They did this and they did this and they met that. The champion inside the room for you can make a very big difference because they don't have to leave the room, right? They usually are also the person who can make a bit of an introduction to the group for you. So it's a really important role to have an advocate or a champion, if at all possible, rather than going straight through some online portal and submitting that way. Okay, so what are the similarities between an investor group and the TV show? Well, one is you're going to pitch and you're going to answer some questions, right? So there's a Q&A part. And then once you get through that, if they like what they're hearing and they're considering investing, you're going to go through what's called due diligence. And due diligence is where they pick things apart. They're going to look for, if you have sales already, are the sales numbers really what you said? Okay. They're going to ask for some sales reports, revenue reports. They might ask for profit and loss statements. If you have a patent or other intellectual property, they're probably going to want to see it and double check that it is covering the claims that you said. They're also going to look at, do you really actually own the company that you are asking them to invest in? Is the ownership as represented? So if it's an LLC, did you tell them about all the members? If it's a business partnership, does the other partner actually know about this and are they on board with it? Or is there tension between you and the other partner? They'll look into all of those pieces, okay? And then in the due diligence process, after you pass it, is where they start negotiating what's called a term sheet. And a term sheet is the framework of the deal, okay? So once the deal term sheet is negotiated, then you actually go to writing up the deal, signing it, and then from there, you're going to go deliver on the deal from both sides. They're going to put the investment money in as they agreed to. You're going to do the things that you said you were going to do. And then everybody's having a great time and the business is thriving. All of these people are going to be looking at this for how do they get their money back out, right? They're going to look at the exit strategy. Like, how do they get paid back? Usually comes when you sell the business or when there's revenues in such that you're going to pay the investors back out and buy them out. So understand that they're looking to exit this, okay? And they're going to really be pushing for a 10-time return on the money that they invested. So it's a really interesting thing for you to know about, and it's important for you to understand, okay? So the behind the scenes is this negotiation, this due diligence process. Everybody thinks that the deal that happens on TV just gets inked, and that is very far from true. Approximately 50 to 60% of the deals do not happen. They fall out in the negotiation process and the due diligence process, so the deals do not go through. So be prepared that about 50% of deals fall apart in due diligence and negotiation. Okay, so that's a good rule of thumb for you. So yes, celebrate when you get the offer, but also celebrate when you get through due diligence. And one last point about due diligence. Due diligence is where it's really important that you presented an accurate picture in your pitch. Because if it comes out in due diligence that, you know, your sales aren't really what you said they were, or that your patent isn't really as far along as you said it was, then it calls into question all the other things that you've said, and it can actually create a real upset that's very hard for you to overcome. Okay, so with that, I'm going to open up our lines for questions. If you're on the Facebook Live, you can just type questions in and I'll see the comments. And then if you are on the phone line, all you're going to do is press *7 to raise your hand. That'll let me know that you have a question. And I'm going to go over to our webcast and look at the Q&A over there, because there should be questions from there too. Awesome. So great. We've got some people on the webcast. Great. So you can type questions into the webcast, and on the phone line, press *7, and that'll open up your line. So, hey, it looks like we have a question from Marie in Santa Monica.
Hi.
Hi.
So I've been watching lately. Hi. I've been watching, and I've noticed that they mostly invest in businesses that already have cash flow, and rarely do they invest in concepts. So, so I don't think that would be a great avenue for me, since I don't have any cash flow.
You know, that's a really great question, Marie. I was talking with Kristen Hilbrand the other day, and she's an accredited investor, member of Pasadena Angels, has actively invested in a lot of deals. And we were talking about the same exact thing, that right now, when it comes to angel investors and for Shark Tank, revenue counts a lot. You know, being in revenue, if you are looking for money to actually run it as a business, it's really important. And it goes to this idea of how much, quote, skin in the game do you have, and how far have you been able to move it. Now, for anybody who's listening, who's in California like you are, who has an idea, I would really encourage you to take the time today to apply for a creator award through WeWork. I mentioned them a little earlier. There is a stage of that grant competition that is just for ideas. You do not even have to have prototypes. So if you go on our blog, productstoprofits.com/blog, there is a blog post about the Creator Awards. The deadline for submission is sometime tomorrow, and you have to answer questions, and then you submit a 90-second video. And there's a whole process to all of that, but it should be able to be done in about an hour to 2 hours. Most investors right now are not investing in straight up ideas straight out of the gate. If you're looking for idea investors, those are usually seed investors, not angel investors. And Shark Tank doesn't usually even take people that just have an idea. They just don't usually do that. So you're right. Just the way it's going. They're looking for you to be a little further along and to have moved yourself.
Okay, thank you. Can you mute me again, please?
Absolutely. I just took care of it. And so, you know, I'm going to press this to, I changed it. So if you're on the phone line, you press *2 and that'll raise your hand, but it won't open up your line automatically. So press *2 and that'll raise your hand on the phone lines. Marie brought up a great point. You know, right now, getting yourself into revenue counts a lot for the larger investment pieces. And there's no way around that. You know, it goes to you're further in, so the risk is lower, and the risk still is considerable. So when you're in idea stage, you know, getting it to be real and getting pre-sales or getting, you know, a Kickstarter campaign or any of those actually is a really good thing to have to do. So Marie, I see that you raised your hand again, so I'm going to open up your line and see if you have another question. You there?
Yeah, I'm there. So the thing is that my play is not for revenue, but it's for a licensing agreement. And I've noticed that they do some of those. So how would I find someone who can help me with licensing?
So if you want to license right now, usually it's you've filed for the full patent, not just a provisional patent application. I'm not seeing a whole lot of licensing happen.
Right.
Okay. So
I have 4 patents.
okay. It's really about your sell sheet. And sometimes on the show, Shark Tank, they will actually do some deals where the revenue stream is licensing. And there are some angel investor groups that'll do that. Pasadena Angels is one of them. Sometimes depends on the technology. And so what you actually have to do is you still have to make it as real as possible in terms of proving that the concept works, because that's what has people come in and license. We have a client right now we're helping negotiate the licensing deal with, and they got it all the way to they were doing small sales on the product. And that's actually what prompted the licensing conversation to start. So when if you don't want to build to small sales to get the licensing conversation, it still is about making it as real as you can. 3D printing, a functional prototype to demonstrate how something works. If it were a really, really technical innovation, like a scientific thing, then you have to have the research that's behind it. That's what's happening out of technology transfer offices. So what stage are you in right now?
I have prototypes, and I have a video, and I have pitched it to the largest player, but I had to take care of my mother for a year.
Yeah.
Back to him, I think he was a little offended. But you know what? I made the decision to help my mother instead of my business.
I can completely respect that. For anybody who's been around me for a while, you know that I went through my mom passing away, and it has impacts when you have something happen in life. It just does. So you can go back and you can.
I mean, before this happened, he was sending me his suppliers to see how they could make it and how much it would cost, and he was like just a gem, and he's like the president of the United States. So I don't know what to do, and now they've purchased the second largest player in the United States. So I'm like, what do I do? Apologize to him and go back, or
yes, yes.
I'm just asking. Oh, okay.
You go clean it up. You know what? Because if he is in charge of a large company, that means that he's probably not 22 years old, right? And that means he's had life happen too, And I think that sometimes we let our upset get in our own way, right? Like, we make it mean more than it might even be meaning on that side. You don't know that the reason maybe he's not responding as much because he's busy and they've got problems integrating that second company, right? Like, but you can invent all this other stuff, and you can just say, you could just be really straightforward and say, you know what, I know that we were having a really great conversation. Unfortunately, I had to take care of my mother, and now that we've cleared that hurdle, I'd really like to reestablish our conversation. Would you be open to that?
That's easy, but yeah, I'm going to do that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and don't make it mean a lot of stuff. And you know what? I recently got to hear Tony Robbins at a very, very small conference. It was a really small audience. And, the editor-in-chief of Inc. magazine asked Tony Robbins, after about an hour, he said, if you had one piece of advice for business people, what would you tell them? And Tony Robbins looked at us and he said, don't be so damn hard on yourselves. Just don't be so hard on yourself, okay? And I was like, oh.
Yes, ma'am.
If you want to see that video, I think we might have it on our Facebook. I'm not sure. We might have I know I recorded it, so we will be putting out some of that content because it was really good. So just keep the context. Don't be hard on yourselves. Just go clean it up. You'll either be open to it or not.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll mute your line again.
Thank you.
So anybody on the phone line, you can press *2 to raise your hand. I'm going to take a look over here on our Facebook Live. Awesome. So I'm not seeing any comments from the folks on the Facebook Live. Somebody type something so I know that you can hear me and that you're there. And so TV show Shark Tank, what actually happens behind the scenes is it is designed to be good television, right? To meet that metric of viewers so that they get what's called deal flow, like I mentioned, okay? So it's really important for you to understand that. And the debate that can happen between the sharks is not everything that we see on TV. So be prepared to answer questions. Be prepared to really be yourself, present your business case. You're going to want to be prepared with extra materials and numbers, and also if you don't know something, you might say, you know what, I'd be happy to get you that in due diligence. So like I said about due diligence, you're going to be asked for proof that your intellectual property is as you represented it, that you are, that the ownership of the business is what you said it is, that the sales are what you said they were, okay, that the research is legit, okay, and then they're going to negotiate the term sheet with you. So be prepared for that, and it's really a fun process. Once you actually get a deal from Shark Tank or any of the angel investors, be prepared to work. This is not going to be your magic bullet and everything's going to go perfectly. I was talking with a friend of mine who is actually one of the team behind Damon John's launches. And we were talking about one of the launches for a fairly well-known product. And the sales for the product after the show had a rough time. Turns out the pitch wasn't quite right. The funnel wasn't quite right. And actually their website crashed. That's a big thing to pay attention to. If you get on air with Shark Tank and you're doing it to get sales, be prepared that your website will very likely crash. And you want to have a way to collect email addresses and go back and re-offer people. Matter of fact, Robbie, he was just on a recent show, and he was assured by his hosting company that everything would be great. They were so used to doing it and it was not going to be a problem. And of course, he goes on the show and their website crashes. So you want to make really, really, really sure that your web hosting company is absolutely prepared for the amount of volume that you're going to get to your site so your site doesn't go down. So just know that. Okay. Let's see. Oh, all right. I'm getting a note that the feed is behind what I'm saying on the phone. That's probably true because we do have to go through a couple platforms when we're doing the Facebook Live. So let's see. Sandy Lee is saying, when you're picked to go on Shark Tank and you go to the studio to make your initial pitch, you are not guaranteed that you will be on the show. Absolutely true. A few years ago, there were 80 of us that pitched and only a certain amount actually got to go on the show. Correct, Sandy. That happens partially because they don't know how you're going to be on camera. You might freeze like a deer in the headlight. Your pitch might be really weak, and they, or they might have too many entrepreneurs that are of a certain genre. It could be that they need to have a breadth of variety of businesses. Like if there's too many that are all apparel, they can mix it up for product, etc. So they have every right to pick the mix that gets represented on the show. So be prepared for that. Just because you get the call back doesn't mean you're going to appear and go on air. That's absolutely true. So let's see, we'll go over, I'm going to answer a question from Andrew, it looks like in Barstow on the phone lines. Hey there. Hi. What's your question? Your number ends in 1529. Your phone line's open. So
that's Heather.
Hey, Heather.
That's Heather.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing awesome. What's your question today?
Well, I'm wanting to know more about angel investors and like, is there a class or someplace I can go to find more? I have my patent, I have my product, I have my website up. So now we're at the point where we're just needing brand recognition to get it going, because everybody that's tried it has loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a couple people look at it and say, "Oh, you need more of a wow factor," and I'm like, I don't know how to give it more of a wow factor than what it does.
Are they looking at the product itself when they say that, or are they talking about packaging or what?
I don't know. I think they might be talking about packaging, because I know we were more focused on making sure we have a good quality product,
Mm-hmm.
and less concerned about the packaging, because we want to be able to, give people a good product and have it work for them.
Right.
So I wasn't as worried about the packaging.
Yeah.
That would come later.
Well, actually, the packaging makes an enormous difference. And on the panel that we did on Friday, we were part of an event last week, Connect Pasadena, Connect 2017, that had 87 events in 8 days. And we were one of the co-organizers and co-promoters of that. So we did a panel on design as an asset, where design and money intersect, was what it was called. And we had senior vice president from iRobot, which makes the Roomba vacuum cleaners. We had Kristen from the Pasadena Angels. We had an IP attorney. We had all these people, right? And we were talking about how design impacts money, right? So we did actually record that session, and we will put it out. We had a little problem with the sound. So when we put that out, we do actually announce it to the Product Business Show followers list. So I would suggest that you watch that, because we talk about this idea of design in terms of the product as well as the packaging. And Kristen had some great that I did last Wednesday as a Facebook Live. It would have been around 6 o'clock Wednesday night. And it was a panel of people that have been funded by Pasadena Angels. Watch it, okay? It is still, it's on our facebook.com/products to profits page, okay? On the issue of finding angel investors, if you want to pitch to groups, there's a bunch of them around Southern California. Angel investor groups have different focuses depending on the kind of business they like to invest in. Tech Coast Angels is a big one out here. They invest mostly in technology platforms, software as service kind of things, but they do also invest in products that are Internet of Things, hardware, software together. Pasadena Angels have invested in things like smart toys. They've look up Bainbridge. They do investing into consumer products. There's also something called Angel List, and some people have had success with it. It's kind of hit or miss, but it is a platform that angel investors are on, looking for different projects. So just know that that qualifies as public disclosure. So if you haven't filed any patent things, be aware of that. Who else?
Yeah, I have my patent.
Okay.
And we're actually located just outside of Reno in northern Nevada.
Got it. Well, you're eligible for a creator award because you're in the Western region. So I would suggest you go to our blog and look that up. I posted it.
I pulled it up while you were talking earlier.
Yeah, you should apply. I think anybody who's in the Western region or Northeast US should really look at it, because you can get the way that the Creator Awards are working is there's 3 different stages you can be in. You can be in incubate, which is idea, you're not really, you haven't done a whole lot, right? And those range from $18,000 to I think it's $36,000. And then launch is you're in some sales, you're still figuring some stuff out, but you are you're launching into the next thing, and it's becoming public. Those I think are $72,000 to like $125,000. And then scale is after that. Once you have a good system in place, now you need to grow bigger. Those are going from, I think it was around $130,000 to $360,000 each. So pretty good. And the region ends tomorrow. So you must submit. Like, do not pass go, take the time and do it. Okay?
I will. Thank you.
We actually know somebody, we know a business that got a $25,000 grant from that in February. So it is completely legit. Okay?
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome, Heather. I'm going to mute your line for your privacy. And then let's see, let's go back over to our Facebook, see if we've got any other comments or questions there. Looks like we're good. And going over to our webcast, double check that we've got everything there. Cool. So webcast is clear. The phone lines, it looks like we might have one more question from Santa Monica. Phone number ends in 8360. So hi there, is this Marie?
Yeah, I already asked this question.
Okay, awesome. You're welcome. So I'm going to mute all the phone lines, and it looks like we're clear for today. If I can, I will. Oh, I see we've got another person on Facebook. Let's see. So this is from Jill Fosco. Jill's awesome. She's out of the New York, Pennsylvania area. So let's see. Hi, Amy. I'm in the process of business planning around a new company focused on high quality natural beauty products with a small line to start, in the stage of testing my formulas and growing my personal brand. She's a life and business coach. So any advice? All right. The business planning around a new company for beauty products. Definitely be building your pond, for one thing, and building your tribe. There's also going to be an e-commerce summit coming up. It's got a whole bunch of speakers on e-commerce. Looks like we may be joining them. So watch for that, Jill. I think that, how would I suggest, if you're going to develop the line, you're testing your formulations, look for a niche that you can really get good at marketing in, okay? Because the beauty product space is pretty crowded and is very competitive. So you should have a differentiator in messaging if you can. Like you might do a product line that's focused at a particular demographic and get really good at focusing and selling to them. As far as formulations, you're probably going to need about 6 products to start so that there's enough for people to hang their hat on. Hope that makes sense for you. And then the building your following is really big. There's a platform you might want to look at called Reward Style for influencers in the fashion kind of space. And they do a great job with linking up influencer marketers with brands. It's usually more towards the fashion itself, but some of those bloggers may be a good way and for you to get into doing some influencer marketing as well. I would pay attention to the guidelines from the Word of Mouth Marketing Association if you're going to step into the influencer marketing space, either as an influencer yourself or as hiring an influencer to work with. So hopefully that helps you, but be prepared. You need about 6 SKUs. So great. Perfect. I see looks like that took care of that question. I'm Amy Winslow, and we will be posting some more video from the Connect 2017 event that happened all last week. It was a really, really, really busy week. Hopefully we can get the panel up for you. Design as an asset, where money and design intersect, was a really active conversation. The video is a bit long, and we're seeing if we can get rid of a little feedback in the sound on it. So hopefully we can do that and post it. We're looking at putting things up on YouTube as well, so you can check there. One last call for questions on the phone line. Press *2. That'll raise your hand, and looks like our Q&A is clear. So perfect. And our conference lines are clear, and our Facebook is live as well. So you can share the broadcast out, please. And please share this product business show with anybody you know who's involved with a product business or who's doing product management or would like to be. It's really important to us that we serve the maximum number of people we can, and we get a lot of people moving forward with their products. We're going to be having some interviews coming up in the next couple of months, and I think we'll have Mario from iRobot. He's their Senior VP of Technology and Innovation. Fabulous guy, and so we've got some additional resources we're going to tap for you, and we'd like to have the maximum number of people benefit from it. So please share the show out. We will put a subscription link in this, and I'm seeing the producer just walked in, so are we good? Thumbs up? Yep. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your week. We'll talk with you soon.